Hi everyone, welcome back to Guild Wars 2. Today, this is going to be a tutorial about PvP, pretty much the basics of it. Okay, so very first thing is you want to go and actually access the PvP tab and panel and everything. So to do that, you just go up and click on this cross swords button, and then over here you click and enter the PvP lobby. Now, one of the first things I'm going to talk about is what you want to pick and like what kind of professions and everything you want to pick for PvP. Because as I'm about to show you, some skills from certain classes and specializations work a lot faster than other skills. For example, one of the builds and things I really like using is rifle for the warrior because it lets you do this 3-round burst. Basically, it's a little bit like an assault rifle in other games, but slower. And I really like that about the warrior. But, as I'm about to show you soon, there is an ability, like your ultimate ability for the rifle is called kill shot or something, where you basically line up your target and fire. And when using a specialization for the warrior, like I am now, Berserker, that happens much, much quicker. Okay, so here we are in the lobby. This is what it looks like. And here is pretty much where you can find everything you need for PvP. So, over here is a waypoint to the arena. If we teleport over here, then we can go to the arena. It's a place where you can just go and battle other people without any repercussions. Like, seriously, all you do here is just go over here and jump down into it, and you can start fighting people. Like there, you can see people already fighting. Or if you want to spectate, you can just go over to one of these seats, press F, you sit down, and then you can just watch all the stuff unfold. And I'm not sure if this is possible. Actually, I'm pretty sure. You can even click on people when they're down there, so you can see all the different conditions and stuff being applied to them. So if you're suddenly wondering why they're slow, you can just click on them, and it'll display, like, for example, there, that thing crippled means they're slowed. And you can also hop in there at any time and test out your abilities, but that's not what I'm going to be doing here, because everything down there happens very, very quickly. Like, people, as you can see, are just annihilating each other left, right, and center, and I want to explain the stuff I want to explain slower than that. So, instead, we're going over to this waypoint. By the way, when you access PvP, I'm pretty sure it unlocks absolutely everything. Yes, we're going to this waypoint, because over here is the training area, where I can actually explain what I meant with, like, all the abilities. So this is perfect. This is exactly what I was looking for. The target golem. This one, and listed as indestructible because no matter how hard you hit it, you can't kill it, which is a good thing. So, if I just shoot it a few times, it will start building up this bar here, my adrenaline bar, which is used for warrior skills. And when you get it high enough, as you can see, the F1 ability called Kill Shot becomes available. And the more that you shoot this goal, the more you shoot enemies and hit them with certain abilities and get hit yourself as warrior, the more it fills up and the more powerful it is. So if I use it, I power up a shot and hit it. But I don't know if you could notice there, but when I was using the ability, my character basically stood still. So that will happen when you use this ability, because it actually says in the description of it that it roots you in place. However, since I'm using the Berserker specialization, if I just fully fill up the bar again by shooting the golem, I can activate Berserk mode, which is pretty much a better version of the kill shot. So now, I start shooting faster. All my abilities, like my ultimate ability, now makes the target catch on fire when I shoot it, and I can do it multiple times. Basically, skills like this is what you really, really want to be using for PvP, because the faster the better. You don't want to be sitting around doing this, and then just having enemies get the drop on you and shoot you. You want to be constantly moving. So, for example, like with Berserker, like specialization I have, I can, as you've already seen, I could just activate the ability and then, for example, run over here if an enemy was trying to chase me or something, which is much, much better than just regular old warrior. Also, another thing that really helps in PvP is make sure you read what every single thing does and really get a feel for each ability. So for warrior, you have a bunch of different rifle abilities. The first one bleeds your enemies, Actually, apparently maybe it doesn't. Oh, it makes your oh, it also gains bonus adrenaline against vulnerable enemies. So yeah, this one, actually, I should just check myself. Okay, so I guess in a previous update it did bleed enemies, but I guess it doesn't anymore. That's just an average shot. Then this shot here, aim shot, puts vulnerability on the enemy and also cripples them so they move less. This one is that 3-round burst that I was talking about before. And then this one over here, brutal shot, immobilizes your foe so they can't move for a little while, puts vulnerability on them, and is basically a backwards dodge roll. So one of the things you can actually do is if an enemy is chasing you, even if you don't have anything, to shoot at, you can just point your gun in a random direction and then shoot, and you will do a dodge roll. It's very useful. And then the last ability is a rifle ability, which just knocks enemies away when they get close, like that. Except this thing will go right back to where it was, because it's like an indestructible target. Okay, next up, that I've basically, since I've covered, well, the fact that you really should read abilities, next thing I'm going to talk about is your PvP loadout and everything. So by clicking on this button, you get to your PvP build. This may seem confusing at first, but don't worry, I'll explain all of it, and in a lot of detail. Okay, so first off is your selected rune. Runes function pretty much like they do in PvE, except this PvP gives you a full entire set for free. What I mean by this is if I mouse over certain pieces of armor I have, for example this one has the superior rune of Balthazar, which gives me more condition damage. A condition is like burning and stuff like that, and like frost and poisoned in this game. And also it gives me a higher burning duration. So basically this is an armor set I've made to make Berserker skills catch enemies on fire for a longer time. And what you can do here in PvP is just click this, and then scroll through this list of runes, and choose one, and it will put an entire set of that rune on your character for free. You don't have to go into the trading post here, and then start typing in runes. For example, the rune of the Lich. I don't even really need to do that. Let's choose any rune, like for example the major rune of the Mad King, which you would then, well, I guess this isn't a superior rune, so I'll just type down superior. There. Now all the superior runes pop up, and unlike the other one, they actually go up to 6. Like the one before, the rune of the Mad King, only went up to 4, which means that you get the maximum benefit by equipping 4 runes because it's not the like most powerful you can get. This type, the superior runes, are the most powerful. You can get up to 6 of them, and usually it's a good idea to put all 6 of them on like in a loadout, because then you get the benefits. Like for example, again with this rune of Balthazar, I get a 20% burning duration when I use a heal skill, and also nearby foes are burned for 3 seconds on a 10-second cooldown. So basically, with the rune of Balthazar on, if I was to use my heal skill like this one here, I would heal, and then enemies around me would get hit by a flame burst. That's generally why you want a full set. And PvP here allows you to switch out any one of these sets at any time completely free. Like you don't have to go buy them off the trading post or anything, except for these ones that are grayed out here. These are locked. You have to double click them to unlock, and then you have to pay 5 gold. The thing is, before you pay 5 gold for any of these, really like take a look over them and see if it's actually something you think would be useful. For example, this one, yeah, it does seem pretty useful. You gain swiftness for 3 seconds when you do a dodge roll. But if you are a person who doesn't really dodge too much, or for example, let's say you're not Daredevil, which is a certain thief specialization, you won't be able to dodge as much. Daredevils get, I think, 3 dodges instead of just 2, like other classes. So what I'd recommend when starting out is take a look at your character and your class and everything, and think of like, what do you want to be doing? Are you using a lot of flame weapons? In that case, choose a rune of Balthazar, maybe. Are you a really tanky character? Then maybe go for the rune of resistance, because you get less, like it makes your conditions work less on you, well, gets rid of conditions on you, and also you gain an Aegis when you like activate your heal skill and stuff like that. Or do you want to be doing heaps of damage? Stuff like the Rune of Infiltration will be very good at that, because you deal like more damage to foes that with less than 50% health, so you would like be really good at finishing enemies. Next, after you've chosen your runes, it's time to choose your amulet. Your amulet basically is what selects nearly all your stats in PvP. Like these stats here and everything. It will basically alter the values for you. Like, for example, toughness increases your armor, and armor is what reduces damage. Then vitality increases health, which increases your health, obviously. Precision increases your critical hit chance. Ferocity, I'm pretty sure, increases your critical hit damage. Condition damage, well, I guess it just says condition damage when it increases that. Healing power increases how much you heal. Expertise increases how long conditions last. And that's the same thing as expertise. And then concentration increases your boon duration, so positive effects on you. And unlike PvE and World vs. World, like as I said, all your stats are affected by this one amulet. Like all the armor you would have on, like this, again, more of my like Balthazar set, it would increase my condition damage, my power, and my precision. This does all of it in one go. In fact, here you can see my health. If I selected the Celestial Amulet, for example, oh, it says I can't perform that while in combat. So let me just deselect the Golem and walk far enough away so that it finally counts me out of combat. That really... okay, good. It's finally gone away. So now, as I was saying, if I select the Celestial Amulet, you can immediately see my health has dropped, because the Celestial is like an all-round thing. It gives you a little bit of everything, but not that much of a certain thing. Whereas the one I have here, the Barbarian Amulet, the main reason I chose it is because it raises my critical hit chance to almost 50%, so it'll be critical hitting a lot. And also, it gives me 1,200 plus Vitality, which is heaps. Like this is more health than a lot of classes usually have. And the reason why I have picked that is because I've gone for a kind of tanky build. Okay, now that I've finished talking about amulets, it's time to select what kind of sigils you want on your weapon. Sigils are basically like little side effects, because in PvP, I forgot to mention this before, everything is normalized. What I mean by that is that you are on equal footing with everyone else who plays. It doesn't matter if you just started the game and started PvPing, you have as much health on your level 1 thief as someone would if they were playing as like a level 80 character. And that's the same with weapons. With weapons, you can see this rifle actually has no stats. That's because it uses as it says in the little gray description here, it uses PvP attributes. And you use stuff like this amulet, the runes, and the sigils on it to determine damage. And now I'll explain how the sigils work. So, with sigils, I found there are two main types. There is the type that happens when you switch weapons, and the type that does stuff when you don't switch weapons. So, when playing PvP, think of your strategy. Like, are you the type of person that switches weapons much? Do you even know where the switch weapon key is? If you've answered no to either of those questions, then it's probably best not to choose a sigil that activates when you switch weapons. For example, the Sigil of Battle. Gains 5 stacks of might when you swap this weapon in combat. And even if you are someone who swaps weapons a lot, ask yourself, is the set, like with a set you have chosen, is it a good combination for you? Will you actually want to switch often? For example, right now, the two sets I have is a sword and shield for one of my sets, and a rifle for the others. That means I can go into ranged combat, and then, when using the sword and shield, I have a stun ability right here, and also a shield stance, which makes me basically block incoming attacks, which is very useful for like staying alive or staying on points. And because of that, I have actually, but the thing is, I don't, even though it is quite good to switch between these two sets, I feel like I don't switch often enough, at least with this set, so that's why I have not picked any sigils that make an effect happen when I switch weapons. Instead, the two things I've gone for is the Sigil of Courage and the Sigil of Peril. The reason why is because it increases the inflicted vulnerability duration. And if you remember before, as I was talking, when I was talking about my abilities, both aimed shot and brutal shot inflicts vulnerability on my enemies when using rifle. So that's why I picked this one, because it increases the vulnerability duration of the two skills my rifle has, which give enemies vulnerability. And then the reason why I've picked the Sigil of Courage is because on a hit I gain might for 10 seconds. 10 seconds is quite a good amount of time to hit an enemy a lot, and hitting enemies, that's damn easy with a rifle. You shoot them. That bullet hits the enemy, it's counted as a hit. They run up to you in close combat, you whack their face and say, "Back off, mate," with the rifle, and that counts as a hit. That's why I picked it. Then, for the other thing, I have put a Sigil of Ruthlessness on my shield because it gains you might when you interrupt the foe. And I thought, hey, that's quite useful. I have this shield skill right here, Shield Bash, which interrupts the foe. So that's why I put it on the shield. So I'll gain might from the shield, which I can then use with my sword to slash enemies like so. And then for the other one, I just had on hit remove a boon because this sword swings very, very fast. And it can go even faster when you use the Sword Berserker skill. Let me just show you what that's like, so you can so you know what I mean. So I'll just continuously hit this golem with my average attacks until I build up enough rage adrenaline to go into Berserk mode. Shouldn't take long. Okay, now that I'm in Berserk mode, I can actually back off and activate the ability, and basically my character will fling a bunch of firebolts at the golem. And that's why I have chosen that Sigil. Hold on, I actually for a minute forget what it even was. Kind of terrible memory things. Oh yes, on hit remove a boon. So, if I swing that fast, which, well, I do when I'm in Berserk mode, that would remove a lot of boons in the enemy, which is exactly why I chose it. Okay, next up, it's time to choose your utility abilities. Again, ask yourself, are you the type of person who will remember what a lot of your abilities are, and are you the type of person who will use them often? For example, I don't often remember to press 7, or actually in this case, start on my controller since I am using a controller. Yeah, I actually do play PvP with a controller. Might call me insane, but I actually like it. So anyway, by pressing, well, start, I activate this, and then I can do my Stomp ability, which launches me forward. The reason why I have only that as an actual ability, and everything else here as a Sigil, which is a passive thing, is because I actually often forget to activate my 8 and 9 abilities, or directional, like up and left on my controller, since I'm using the directional pad to activate these two abilities. So that's why I've chosen two sigils. I have the signets. I have the signet of stamina, which grants faster endurance recovery because I dodge roll to get out of enemies, out of tight spots and away from enemies a lot. Endurance is basically this bar here. So this is actually going up a lot faster because I have this signet. It also pays to pay attention to what the signet active does. So for example, with this signet, it passively makes your endurance regain. But if you were to press 8 on your keyboard or click it, I don't recommend clicking your abilities in PvP, by the way. I recommend using the keyboard much more, otherwise you're just much slower. This will display above you, letting both allies and enemies know that you are using that sigil, and it will have a cooldown. As well as the cooldown, it will do what it says. For example, this one cures all conditions. So if this part here was just filled up with conditions, like you just ran into Necromancer and he basically put 11 conditions on you, you can press this and it will cure them all. You can also switch these out anytime you want to any of the other abilities. For example, I could change this one out to a banner ability, and then I could get the banner and place it. Keep in mind though that this banner, all banners used by the warrior profession, only affect people when you are near them, including yourself. So for example, if I was to walk too far away, the banner would just simply stop affecting me, and I wouldn't gain anything from it. Yeah, as you can see. So I'd have to walk closer to it again. And because of this, you really have to think, our banner is worth it. Because when you pick one up, your skills change. For example, when picking up the Banner of Strength, your number 1 skill is a hit, your number 2 is a kind of bigger slam, your number 4 is a charge, and your number 3 is a basically speed boost. Now you may be looking at that and thinking, holy crap, all those abilities are so slow compared to all your rifle abilities. Why would I ever use a banner? This is the reason. instead of wandering over to an enemy and pressing the interact key, or F, which allows you to do a finisher on them, you can just pick up a banner, press the 5 skill when they're on the floor downed, and then it will just finish them that quickly. Like, you will just ram the banner into them and they will die. That is one of the reasons why you actually should use a banner. But if you're just starting out new to PvP, I recommend going for a lot of signets and just figuring out what they do, so you don't have to worry about constantly placing the banner and refreshing that and everything. Okay, so now that I've basically finished talking about signets and everything, I'm going to talk about your elite skill. Your elite skill is kind of important. You want to choose the one that's best for you. This will be different for every single class, but for example, for the warrior here, I have 4 skills to choose from: the battle standard, the signet of rage, the rampage ability, and headbutt. Now, some elite skills recharge a lot quicker than others. For example, headbutt here does that. When you click it, you will lurch forward and then headbutt the enemy, and you will stun them and also stun yourself for a short amount of time. You stun them for longer, though, keep in mind, so that's why you actually want to use. And also, this ability recharges very quickly, so even if it's an elite skill, you can basically go headbutt, 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 instead of waiting ages to use elite skill if it was something else in another case. Now, with all classes, you can also pretty much actually, it's not all classes, but a lot of them have a signet that you can choose your elite skill. So basically, your elite skill can be a passive that always affects you. For example, the one I have on right now, the signet of rage, grants adrenaline as a passive. So as I'm just walking around, not even fighting anyone, my bar is building up so I can berserk faster. That's why I like to use it so much. And also, if I click it, it gives me swiftness, fury, and might. Might makes your attacks more powerful. Swiftness, as I already talked about from the banner, makes you run fast, and as you can see, this does it for a much longer period of time. In fact, all these boons are staying around for ages. And fury increases your critical hit chance by 20%. This is awesome for me, because if you remember in my PvP build, my critical hit chance when I have this activated now goes up to 60%. So then more than half of the time, I'm dealing critical hits to enemies. Now you can imagine how good that would be when I start using my berserk skill with either my rifle, which is just a burst ability, or even better with a sword, because I fling all those firebolts. Now each one of those firebolts has a 67% chance of critically hitting the enemy. Okay, now lastly, I'm going to talk about your heal skill. Almost all classes have some kind of signet as a heal skill, meaning your heal is passive. This is great if, like me, you sometimes forget to heal in the middle of combat. But keep in mind that the signet abilities are nearly always worse than other healing abilities. It also really pays attention to read what the different healing abilities do and figure out what you want is best for your class. For example, I'm going to use my warrior here. The signet heal is every 1 second I heal 353. You may be thinking, no, that's decent. Well, no, it's not. That's my health. It's going to take ages if I was down to really low health to get back up to full. In fact, if I get out of combat, it's usually quicker to get out of combat and wait for yourself to auto heal really quickly rather than relying on the signet. Also, if you activate it, it gives you 6 seconds of resistance, which means conditions currently on you are ineffective for 6 seconds, which is actually quite good, and the heal is 238, so still not that decent compared to this. Then, for the other healing abilities I can heal, there is defensive stance, which is even worse than this. But the reason why you want to use it is because you gain vigor, which increases your health, and also, for 5 seconds, all incoming attacks heal you, so you actually want enemies to strike you in that amount of time. Then, there's mending, which removes 3 conditions, which is great if you don't have something else that removes conditions, like this signet, for instance, and you want to remove conditions yourself and heal yourself a bit decently. Then there's Blood Reckoning, which makes the damage you do become healing, also grants you 30 adrenaline, which is this, so it'll make you have 1 full bar, but it doesn't heal you that much. And then, oddly enough, this also grants you 30 adrenaline, so I guess it's just the 25% damage to healing for 5 seconds that you want for this. Then there's also To the Limit, which actually, oddly enough, is the first warrior heal you gain like the hill skill you will get. Like when you start off just playing the tutorial, they will give you this ability as a warrior, which funnily enough actually grants you the most healing. Okay, now that I've done basically talking about the basics of that, it's time to go into PvP builds. So again, click your PvP tab, and then click this, Specializations, and you will access your specializations. May look really, really complicated, but don't worry, this will seem pretty average to you if you played Guild Wars 2 for even a not so long amount of time. Let's say you're just level 60, you already probably know about this because you have picked specializations just in PvE when leveling up your character. So, again, when picking specializations, pick something that is right for you. For example, I have picked defense here because a lot of stuff about this increases your health, and I like going for a really, really tanky build. Defense actually also can be very good for shields. Like some of the things you can choose here are very specific for very specific things. For example, this Shield Master, which I am actually going to pick this time to show you because I like this skill quite a lot, makes it that when I use this skill, number 5 on my shield, the shield block skill, projectiles are actually deflected back at you, which can make some really, really great moments in PvP. For example, let's say I was versing another warrior, and he uses this, the rifle 3-shot ability. If I use my shield ability, all of his rifle bullets will be deflected back at his face, and he'll feel like a dumbass for using that on me. And if you are in the same situation, and you start using your ability on an enemy, just turn around and face the other way. Because while they're shielding themselves, you can't hurt them from anything really. You just have to wait for the ability to go away. So either strike them with close combat attacks, like these sword swings and sword thrusts, or just don't hit them for a little while and let them waste their ability. Now, as I was talking about with PvP builds, you also want to make sure that you change your build up if there is something useless in it. For example, I'm very glad I actually went into this tab because I have Forceful Greatsword, which increases a bunch of stuff got to do with the Greatsword. This is a completely useless ability for me to pick right now because I am not using a Greatsword in this build. I am using a sword and a shield and a rifle. So instead, I'm going to pick this one, which is one of my favorites. Great Fortitude. Gain Vitality based on a percentage of your power. So, if we go back to this actually gives me 900 plus power. So I have 900 power. Because the thing I've just chosen, it will actually give me additional vitality. So my health is actually now increased to more than what it was because this signet is giving me power, which is then being converted into vitality. The last specialization I have chosen is Berserker because if you have the Path of Fire expansion, this is pretty much a must-have for warriors because it makes all your skills faster and lets you use them more. Like, for example, would you rather a sword skill that, yes, it does immobilize enemies, but it puts you in, it makes you stuck in place as well while you're swinging your sword madly in front of yourself? Or would you rather be able to go berserk, gain increased healing, do flaming damage, and be able to use your ultimate ability 3 times before Berserk ends? Yeah, I think I know which one I'd definitely pick, and that's Berserker. And then I have gone for Strength because it is one of my one of my favorite things to pick in a build that goes along well with defense. And then some other things I really don't ever pick. For example, Discipline is all about switching weapons continuously, and I forget to do that so much that'd be such a useless trait line for me. But it may not be for you if you know how to switch weapons very well. Then, the last thing you can pick are Mist Champions. Pretty much when you start off, you're going to have this guy, which is the all-round, just average Mist Champion. What a Mist Champion is a summonable NPC that will attack your opponent's base on a certain type of map called Stronghold, where you have to defend your lord, and it's basically a little like tower defense. You spawn minions, and it's one of the very strong minions you can spawn. Depending on which Mist Champion you pick is the one you spawn. You have Turai Ossa, then this guy, which is a pirate, Tybalt Lightbringer, which is a guy you can meet in the personal story if you pick Order of Whispers, and Nika, which is some sort of rogue I really don't know much about her. The important things you want to look at is defense, offense, and speed and all that, but you're pretty much nearly always going to be using this guy when you start off, because if to actually use these mist champions, you have to unlock the reward track, which means to unlock the reward track, you first have to pay 15 gold, then go into the PvP tab, go into reward tracks, and then select the one you actually want. And in my opinion, paying 15 gold just to unlock a new champion that like, may not even be that used much by you if you don't even like go and get the champion orb, and just one single Black Lion key, that's not worth it, especially if you're just starting out and trying to gain money for things like professions and stuff. Whatever you do, don't blow 14 gold on a mist champion. So, now that I've talked about all that, it's time to actually get into a PvP match so I can show you some of the tactics and skills I use. A lot of it generally just comes down to common sense. An example is your team running in one by one and basically funneling themselves into the enemy and getting killed? If so, like if yes, then maybe it's best not for you to run in as well, like a little lemming, and die as well. Yes, you may think, oh, but I need to support my team. You're not really supporting everyone if everyone is dead on the team, including you. Also, other things to keep in mind are, also another thing I recommend when starting off is try not to get into so many solo fights. It helps a heap when you're working with the team. Oh, and maps like Revenge of the Capricorn and Eternal Colosseum, in my opinion, are great for new players. So because if you choose them often, you will be able to get hold on, let me just see, where is it? It should be somewhere in here. Ah, here it is. Wait, oh, loading in. But there's a competitive tab in there, and there are achievements dedicated to certain arenas. For example, the Eternal Colosseum has a bunch of achievements. Usually they involve just capturing the control points from the enemy, killing enemy players, stuff like that. And if you get all the achievements, it gives you 5 whole gold and a title. For example, I have the title Eternal Gladiator because I have done the Colosseum. So, when you spawn into a PvP match, this time will pop up. That's the amount of time you have before you're ready. You want to click this and to make sure that you're ready, and you get some bonus PvP points that contributes to your rank. Now, here I'm going to say in the team team chat, that I'll go mid. Basically what I'm saying is that I will go to the middle of the map and try and hold it, which is right there. I'm saying this because this build I currently have makes me quite slow. In fact, nearly all my builds are slow. So it'd be very stupid for me to go and try and capture this, because then after I've captured this, I have to run all the way back here to fight with the rest of the team at the middle. This actually doesn't always happen, by the way. Sometimes you just be going into an unranked match and no one will say anything in chat, which can get a little frustrating sometimes. And that guy's there, he's saying I'll go lion, because if you said I'll go home, that means the same thing, because he wants to go there, and he's basically the one capturing the home objective, because he probably has some kind of fast build, or is a fast class like Thief. So now the match is properly starting, and generally what you want to do is run to this gate, because if you don't, then you have to spend longer in this little thing running towards the enemy. Oh, that was quite loud. Might actually just turn down the volume a little on my game so you aren't blasted by just the way too loud cheering crowd. Okay, so now for the plan, we are going to run right towards the middle. They're saying stick together in the party chat. Actually a very good idea, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick together next to my teammates because, as I said before, I am not that great when it comes to fighting multiple enemies. And as you can see, this engineer here has popped up a turret. So I'm going to try and shoot the turret. Turrets and pets are something that I say, some people may say, oh, you don't need to concentrate on them. But it may be actually a good idea to concentrate on them. Because removing a turret or a certain thing like this will actually destroy it, and then your team is free to move around. For example, this Net turret is super annoying, and I'm getting knocked back because of it. Now I'm actually going to activate my shield skill here, because I need a little bit of healing, because my health is down by a lot. Also, when in PvP, best to go for any wounded people. Gang up on the wounded, always. Try and go for single targets. And if your allies are down like this, it's best actually, what I found most of the time, to just still go for all the wounded people, including this guy. Because, for example, if I kill him, which I'm hoping to do if my ally does, yeah, if you kill someone who's on the enemy team, all people, including you if you are down, like I was just then, will get up again. This is great. Yeah, as you can see there, that was the shield effect in effect. So this Mesmer is trying to get all up in my face and just throw heaps of staff abilities at me. The great thing is, every single Mesmer staff ability, every single number 1 shot from the Mesmer's staff is a projectile. So I just reflected a heat back. Mesmers, they are pretty much really annoying in this game. So, just my suggestion is just swipe at every single clone they have, because eventually you will start hitting the right one. Also here, this person here is trying to revive their ally. Only do this if you have a lot of health or something like that, because it may actually not be the best idea. Many times I've tried to revive the ally, which makes you totally immobile, and then other enemies have just swooped in and killed me. Like, yes, right over there in the corner of my eye, I can see that one of my allies is down on the floor, but if I start then trying to heal him, I'll just go down like I have now, and before I could keep myself up longer in the fight. When you are down, your number 1 ability will usually do something like a small amount of damage, like it's doing here. For example, I am just chucking stuff at the enemies. Your number 2 skill will usually do some kind of thing that will incapacitate the enemy. Although if there's a certain thing on them called Aegis, it won't do that. Aegis blocks those kind of abilities. Your number 2 skill is usually always used for stopping, like stunning an enemy, which is useful because they have to get over you and press F to fully finish you off, which is where they'll do a spinny thing, and usually like they'll spin in the air and then usually drop some kind of flag or something on you, and then that's how they finish you off and kill you. And you'll be wanting to use your number 2 skill at opportune moments to go and interrupt them doing that so they don't finish you off. Now what I'm going to do here on this map is use my movement skill, so that ability there, and this jump ability, to get up here and capture it, because it is a buff that is team-wide. And if you get both buffs on this map, which you have now gotten, so sorry to this Mesmer here, but I just have the buff already, you can't get it, then you can benefit your team. Now I'm actually going to leave them here and not bother fighting them, because as I said, I am better in team fights, and it benefits you even more if you stack the buffs together. For example, this buff I've gotten right now is a buff of Dwayne, which increases your defense. The other one is a buff of Grenth, which is specific only to this map. Certain map-specific things that only happens on them. The buff of Grenth, which is the sword icon here, makes it so that enemies will get downed much quicker. So what I mean by this is that normally, remember how I said you have to press F on the enemy to start preparing your finishing move, and then you basically slam into them and kill them. With the buff of Grenth, basically a Grim Reaper will appear over your enemy and reap them with their scythe very, very quickly. And yeah, so basically that's what I'm going to... Oh, right. That's if the player with the whatchamacallit does a finishing move on them with the Grenth buff. I just for a minute forgot there that I actually have the Dwayne buff, so my health is increased more, and I don't actually do the whatchamacallit, the Reaper ability on them. Yeah, also keep an eye on Mesmers, even if they're down, because one of their down abilities lets them create their phantasms or clones on when they are on the floor, and they can still attempt to trick you. And they are also able to go invisible. So one of my favorite tactics, slash like a madman. If you're hitting absolutely every single thing around you, including stomps, you're bound to hit the Mesmer at some point. Like so. Also, when it says up on the top, insert name here is on the rampage, if that is you, good job. That means you are doing a good job of PvP. So in this case, good job me. I am actually doing a good job here. Obviously killing quite a few enemies. Which is quite fun. Yeah, what I did there is kind of stupid. I really shouldn't be using my Shield 4 skill, which is a stun, on just a on an enemy who's down, because it's pretty much pointless. Now, one of the people in my team here is saying stay mid, but I'm going to not listen to him right away. I'm going to go and collect the same buff before, because the buffs have refreshed. On this map, the Eternal Colosseum, the buffs will dissipate after a while, and they won't be on you. This actually turned out to be quite a good idea, because no enemy has bothered to follow me up here, and once again, my team has got both buffs. So this is a great advantage for us. And I'm also going to just help out my friend here against this Mesmer, because as I am near them, I am able to buff them. Because I have the Dwayne buff. Basically, when you have the buff, stay near your team. It's even more of a reason to do team fights. Also, area effect abilities like I just used there, my Stomp, they are excellent against Mesmers, because as I said, area effect abilities are awesome. You want to be using as many of them as possible against Mesmers, because you're hitting everywhere, you're bound to hit the Mesmer. Also, keep in mind your third ability. Every single class is something very specific. For example, mine that I actually haven't used yet is a warrior ability that lets you get up off the floor and revive yourself. Keep in mind, though, that you have a timer on you, and if that timer expires, then you will die. What you have to try and do is, while that time is active, try and get as many kills as you can. If you get I'm not sure how many kills it is, but if you get a certain amount, then you will be able to, then it will revive you. So right now what I'm going to do here is just madly slash at the floor, because I was able just then to kill that downed Mesmer. Also, this really proves why it is not good to go in your own, because we have pretty much completely cornered this Mesmer here. In fact, I'm pretty sure she's dead. She died so quick I didn't even notice. I feel kind of sorry for her. Oh, GW is an abbreviation for good work, so that guy's being kind of nice and complimenting his team, because we're winning here a lot. We've won basically every team fight. Keep in mind, though, that this might not always be how it goes, especially if you're learning the game. In fact, when you're learning the game, enemies will not be this competent, because you will be matched up with lower ranked people. Now, I could go over there and help my buddy, but what I'm actually going to do is defend the middle here, because they can try. All the people I've got on my side are better off. As you can see, they're all helping each other. They're capturing points, and if I stay on the middle, that ensures we have a constant supply of points. And right now, the points are even. So one of them is being contested, and another one of the points is the enemy. So if I just stay on the middle, like I was before, then I would be ensuring that my team gets a steady supply of points. Instead, what I'm going to do is actually go over here and get the Grenth buff, because the enemy team has already gotten the Dwayne buff, and it's not going to be that good for us if they have both buffs. That's one of the great ways to win this match. And no one has even bothered to follow me up here, which is a great idea. Now what I'm also going to do is go over here, because yes, I could be defending the middle continuously, but if the enemies aren't capturing it, what do I even have to defend? Also, since I have the Grenth buff, I'm best at killing stuff, because, as I already said, the Reaper ability will activate if I finish someone, like this annoying little Azura Mesmer, which I seem to be some kind of rival of, and down them. Now, in this situation, I'm actually going to activate my shield ability, because they continuously are throwing stuff at me, and I'm going to back off way closer to this objective, because that's one of the great ways to actually baiting enemies to follow you. Back off, and then kind of try and lead them into your team. Oh, he's actually reviving me. How nice. And as you can see there, the Grenth Reaper ability activated. So even though I was down on the floor, me just throwing rocks at them was enough to activate the Grenth Reaper ability, allowing it to slice the dude. Yeah, as I was saying before, though, keep in mind that this is a good PvP match. You sometimes may just have a bad match. What I mean by that is, I have had matches where the entire team was not really incompetent, but just kind of running around like headless chickens. They didn't really know what to do. They were, running, as I said, sometimes running in one by one, stuff like that. And just when that happens, I say try not to get too discouraged and try not to really rage, because if you really rage in chat and scream a whole heap of profanity in chat, you may actually get reported and banned. Pretty much, it is somewhat unlikely, but just to be on the safe side, if you're feeling angry, in my opinion, Just stay silent about it. You can rage to it later with like your friends or something. Also, this up here is actually an excellent area to test your PvP skills and also test any abilities you have that would work on downed enemies. For example, with this, I can actually demonstrate how the banner ability actually works. So I'll just place one of my banners. Actually, I better just wait until one of these. Okay, good. So this enemy guardian, like this target's practice dummy, is respawned. So I'm going to spawn my banner skill and just fight them. Yeah, these will actually use average PvP skills, but as you can see, they are terrible. This is pretty much, well, I guess I shouldn't be insulting that much because this is sometimes pretty much how new players to the game will play, and he actually is doing quite a bit of decent damage on me. So now I'm just going to grab my banner and use the fire ability. Oh, okay. Apparently I was actually wrong. It's a finisher move. I totally forgot. So it doesn't fully finish them off. What it does instead actually is it's a combo finisher. So the slam ability, like I've done there with the banner, actually works well if you have combo fields. I don't have any now, but for example, Revenant has this one where they can enter this demon stance and then put a black pulsing field on the floor, which basically pulsates damage, and if you do that banner ability there, you basically make a little explosion in the damage. That's what combos and combo fields are. I could give a much deeper explanation, but I'm not the expert on that. If you want to know stuff about that, actually just go look up combo fields and stuff yourself. Yeah, so that almost covers everything for PvP, but I may as well go into a little bit about the ranking and everything. So, what I selected there, right, earlier when I played that match I was in and shown you, is a unranked match. A unranked match is a match where, obviously, well, it's not ranked, so your rank is like your PvP rank will go up or down whether you lose or win the match, and as well as that, you're able to queue as a team of 5. In ranked matches, you're actually only able to queue as a team of 2, because if you had a super coordinated team of 5 people, the game developers have kind of deemed it as unfair, and you might end up steamrolling way too many people. To make it semi-fair and kind of group people together semi-randomly, they made it so you can only have your team have like 2 slots. This is what I mean. See, arena size, queue size 1 to 2, and queue size 1 to 5. Now, as well as unranked matches and ranked matches, you can also play in just the PvP browser. You go to this guy, select yes, show me the PvP browser, and it is here, the game browser. It will display all different types of matches. The different icons here, I'll explain what they mean. The eye means that they have spectators. The thumbs up means a ready button, so it will say, are you ready to actually play before you're put into the match? The no sign through the arrow here means no progression, so you not progress PvP rank, which is great if you want to mess around with builds knowing that you will suck. This displays how many players there are, and then this allows you to create a filter. For example, if you only wanted to play on certain maps, which the maps displayed here, it will show you only those maps. Auto balance means, well, it's pretty obvious, it will auto balance the teams. You may not want this if you're trying to all gang up on a certain friend who's really good at PvP and you're just having some fun trying to kill them. Force respawn means that it will force you, I think, to respawn quicker. I'm actually not that knowledgeable about that, so best to ask someone else. Standard is standard matches. Favorites is stuff you favorites. Recently played, well, that is really obvious. You can also, I'm pretty sure, create your own arena, yes, by speaking to this Quaggan. And, okay, that is actually apparently really, really expensive. So, if you want to create your own custom PvP arena, you have to pay 200 gold to do it. And then a arena time token, what I'm guessing happens here, and don't quote me on this because I actually haven't done this stuff too much. I pretty much only exclusively play unranked and ranked PvP. I don't really do much in arenas. Adds game time to it. Think of it like a World of Warcraft subscription. When this runs out, you can't use it. That's at least what I think happens. Also, pay attention here to anything that pops up. Because what will happen a lot is that your dailies will show up here. So, by doing PvP, you actually will do like these daily challenge things. When you do 3 of them, you complete the daily completionist thingamage. Like you basically get daily completionist, which will give you um, 2 gold and a bunch of spirit shards. Spirit shards are easy to get, so you shouldn't worry about that. 2 gold, it's a nice way of earning money, especially if you do the daily each day. It also gives you 10 achievement points, which eventually add up and start unlocking you these achievement chests with different bonuses. For example, if I were to get this one, which isn't too far away, I get 1% on my gold, basically my gold generation. So, if we go away from all this and then just click off and back on, if we scroll down here, this is what it's talking about. Gold find. That's the amount of gold you find from just randomly killing enemies. PvP achievement chests like these will also eventually start granting XP gain. So just the base amount of XP you gain is increased. Magic find, which increases the rarity of items you'll find, and karma gain, which increases how much karma you gain. One of the great things about playing PvP though is that you may complete a daily in a single match. For example, I've actually done that here. Oh, that is our reward track. I'll talk about that in a few moments. So as you can see here, I've actually completed the daily PvP award and gotten myself 2 gold because I have completed 3 of the PvP missions you need, which is actually displayed right here in daily. So I have completed the rated game winner, daily PvP player kills, and reward earner. So I have earned 1 reward in the reward track, which has completed this one. I have won 1 rated game, which is odd because it was actually an unranked game. I don't know why it really calls it rated, but I guess that's what it called it. You just can't, basically to do this, you can't do arenas. That's the only way you can't get this. And I've also gotten enough kills. You either kill or assist killing 3 players in a PvP match, which I've definitely done. Another great thing about the PvP reward chests, and doing the dailies, is that when you open them, they will grant you resonating silvers, which honestly, okay, who cares about that? I have heaps of them, as you can see here. And if we try and sell them on the trading post, they are worth hardly anything. In fact, this is what they're listing as. These are so worthless right now. They're basically at the minimum price, and no one is even ordering them on the trading post. But there's also other stuff. There are shards of glory, which people actually are ordering, and you get quite a decent amount of them, so the money can slowly add up. And the other thing you can get is Potions of PvP reward. By double-clicking these, you gain a small amount of experience on your PvP reward track. Now, I'm not going to click these right now because I like to use them when I have a PvP bonus, which I actually have down right here. You can get this from your guild hall if you join a rather large guild. Just head over to the guild bartender and interact with him. He's done different places depending on where your guild is. Just if you're confused about where he is, ask in your guild chat where the guild bartender is and go to him. It's not just PvP, he can give you an increase in by 10% though, if he's max ranks by the way. If he's not, he may give you a lower percent, like 3% or 2%. He can also give you a 10% increase to XP, and a 10% increase to Karma, which is great if you want one of the dungeon armor sets, which costs heaps. Now, moving on to one of the last things I'm going to talk about, and that is the reward track. The reward track is what you'd be getting when playing PvP. Because the game likes to reward you for doing PvP, because when you're doing PvP, you aren't in the world, and you aren't actively leveling up. So that is why, as you can see in this reward track, it grants you a lot of Tomes of Knowledge. Tomes of Knowledge are an instant level up that you can use at any point. And the best part is you don't have to use them immediately. So let's say you get some. Let's say you get around 50 from playing PvP. You can go around in the normal world then afterwards and play normal PvE and level up normally until you are level 30, because the first few levels are way easier to do than just using these. Well, these are really easy to use, you just double click them, but the first few levels are easy to do. Then once you've gained the first few levels, you can use up the 50 tones of knowledge you have to instantly get to level 80. I wouldn't recommend doing this on the first character though. In fact, on your first character, I recommend using no tomes of knowledge so you fully learn the class. That's exactly what I did with this character I have here, this warrior. Also, when you are selecting your PvP reward track, keep in mind that some of them are only available for limited amount of time. For example, this one is the Festival of the Four Winds track, which is a festival that's currently going on, like a holiday in Guild Wars 2. And it's only active during the festival, so you can only actually gain stuff from this on the festival. There are some others which are also locked at certain points. For example, the Halloween one is only available during Halloween. And then there are other PvP tracks which you must meet certain requirements to actually access. For example, you must get up to at least the rank of Rabbit to unlock the Jungle Rabbit reward track, and then you can start going along that and gain everything the reward track lists, including a key, which is the main reason why I actually want to do any of these tracks. Well, mainly because completing one allows you to complete the other, and I like Black Lion chest keys because they can get you some pretty cool stuff from Black Lion chests, and this is one of the ways you can actually get them. Then also, when choosing a PvP reward track, if it has this button, this symbol, it means it's repeatable, so you can do it again. It is actually one of the very good ways of earning armor sets from different dungeons. For example, this is the PvP reward track from the Ascalonian Catacombs. After gaining enough progress in the bar here, you gain a weapon from the Ascalonian Catacombs, which look all ghostly and cool and glow blue at night. Then once you have fully finished it, you gain a single piece of armor. So that means it's either 5 pieces you need for a full armor set. In fact, hold on, let me just check. Or 6. Okay, it's 6. So, after completing this 6 times, which will take a pretty long time by the way, you gain a full set of armor for that dungeon without actually having to do the dungeon once. This may be a little bit harder though if you haven't completed the story mode for the dungeon. Because, if I can just find it here, there should be one somewhere. If I just go into the available tab. There's nearly always one. Okay, so there actually isn't one available. But sometimes a dungeon track will become available for a certain amount of days. For example, a week only. And within that week, you can only do it then. Otherwise, it's locked out for you. To make that dungeon track unlockable anytime, all you have to do is complete the story mode mission, which is the easy one to do. And you have to complete story mode before you have to go into adventure mode, by the way. And then that will enable you to use the dungeon track at any point. Also, one last thing before I end this tutorial. Keep an eye out right here. At certain points, especially near big PvP leagues, and by that I mean esports tournaments, there may be a little trophy icon right around here. That usually means that the PvP reward track will have a major boost to it. It's a good idea to play PvP around that time, especially if you have a 10% boost from the guild, because not only will your rank skyrocket, but also your reward track will skyrocket. Now, you may actually not want your rank to skyrocket because you may want to stay as a lower rank for a long amount of time so you can really learn the game, but don't worry, your rank will not rise that quickly. I mean, it will at lower levels, but I am at pretty much a plateau. It's taking ages to get past the wolf rank, so I'm versing a lot of players of just that skill level. Oh, and one last thing before I end this tutorial is if you fly over here and use gliding, you can get over to one of the islands around here, and it allows you to interact with a llama over here, which is pretty much for a certain llama achievement that will eventually enable you to, if you just press F on it and you interact with it, and if you have only seen it for the first time, interact for the first time, do this little dance, and you get a little bit of achievement, which goes towards getting yourself your own llama mini. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say and everything, and I hope I've explained how PvP works pretty well and stuff like that. Oh, one last thing. This may be pretty obvious, but if you didn't know, you cannot use mounts in PvP, so that's why you haven't seen everyone just running around and raptors constantly tail whipping each other. So yeah, I hope you found this useful, informative, and all that jazz. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. Bye!